Hello and welcome back, friends. Today we will start with the part 2 of high performance liquid chromatography, which is related to instrumentation of HPLC. In last lecture, we have studied what is HPLC, that is high performance liquid chromatography or high pressure liquid chromatography. It is a liquid chromatography, means your mobile phase and stationary phase both are in the liquid phase. We also have studied advantages of HPLC, that is wide applicability, high resolution, rapid analysis, high sensitivity, excellent reproducibility, quantitative, easily automated. We have studied why to use the HPLC for the various simultaneous analysis, for the high resolution analysis, where we require high sensitivity and small sample size are available, that is up to ppm or ppb level. It is producing a good reproducibility, and the most important, that is moderate analytical condition. As all of you know that in GC we required to heat or vaporize the sample, so the thermolabile substances which are sensitive to heat cannot be analyzed using your gas chromatography. So scope of HPLC we have studied in that it is used in pharmaceuticals, biochemical, analysis of food product, analysis of industrial chemicals, forensic chemistry, environmental field, and clinical medicines. Then we have studied type of chromatography based on mode, that is adsorption chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, partition, partition chromatography, or size exclusion chromatography. Then again, based on mode of chromatography, that is normal phase chromatography or reverse phase chromatography. Based on elution technique, that is isochromatic elutions or gradient elution. Based on scale of operation, that is in the analytical type or in the preparative type. Based on type of analysis, that is quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis. So we are studying various types of chromatography. Now today we will start with the instrumentation. So the instrumentation which you are using in chromatography has few basic components like mobile phase reservoir and solvent treatment system. You can see here mobile phase reservoir and solvent treatment system. Then pump. Okay, so these are the HPLC pump to deliver mobile phase at high pressure. Then injection system to introduce the sample, other either manual injectors or automated injectors. Then the columns for separating the sample component, which may be provided with the ovens. Detector to detect the separated component. So certain detectors are used which will give you the readings directly. Then a data system to operate control instrument and process the signal given by the detector. Type of instruments for HPLC. So either we are doing isochromatic systems. Isochromatic systems means the single mobile phase compositions throughout the determinations, or low pressure gradient system or high pressure gradient systems. So isochromatic systems means whole time of elution we are using the single composition. Multiple solvents are there, but their composition remain constant throughout the process of elution. That is called as isochromatic elution. In gradient elution, we are using changing composition of mobile phase during process of elution. Means this B percentage gradually increases, and that is giving the better resolution. That is called as a gradient elution system. So what is the basic effect of gradient and isochromatic system? In isochromatic system, it requires long time to get the separations, and also many time the bad separations are possible if you are using isochromatic system. But if you are gradient using gradient system, where the mobile phase composition, the proportion of this B component is changed during the process of elution, you will get the most intense or separated peaks, resolved peaks, and the separation is within a short period of time, giving good quality of the separation. So this is the schematic representation of isochromatic system, where a simple system using the one pump and one solvent reservoir. The predetermined mixture of mobile phase is kept into this into the bottle or reservoir, which is pumped by the pump. High pressure pumps are used. Then through this injector, this is Rheodyne injector, the samples are introduced. The samples are then going to the column, which can be kept into the oven, or it can be operated at the ambient temperature. Then the separated component goes to the detector and to the readout system. If more than one solvent is used, solvent should be premixed in the isochromatic system. Gradient systems are of two types: low pressure gradient system and high pressure gradient system. In low pressure gradient system, a single pump is used with low pressure gradient valve, and the different mobile phases are kept into the different reservoir. This selector valve will choose what component is to be pumped, what component is to be taken from the reservoir. Then it is mixed into the chamber, sent to the pump, then it is pressurized, then the remaining system same: injector, then column ovens, detector, and readout system. So here the most important that one pump is used with the four reservoir. Therefore, it is called as a quaternary gradient low pressure system. Mixing is done before the pump. So it is requiring the online degassing system to avoid the use of dissolved gases, entry of dissolved gases. The next is high pressure gradient system. In case of high pressure gradient system, for each mobile phase, we have to use the separate high pressure pump. Here you can see three mobile phases are there: A, B, C, kept in the three reservoir, and three pumps are used. So this pump will suck the liquid from the reservoir. After that, they will be mixed into the mixing chamber. The remaining components are same, that is injector, column oven, detector, and readout systems. So if you are using two pump, it is binary high pressure gradient system. If you are using three pump, tertiary gradient high pressure system. So it is having the excellent gradient accuracy. One pump per solvent is used. It is having online degassing system. So the degassing problem is somewhat reduced in case of the high pressure systems. This is the block diagram of your HPLC instrumentation. Here you can see solvent 1, solvent 2 reservoirs are there. Then a separate degassers are provided for each solvent system. So these degassers are either equipped with the vacuum pump. So they will remove all the dissolved gases, and the degas solvent is sent to this mixing vessel where it will be mixed. Then it is sent to the high pressure pump where it will be pressurized, and this high pressure liquid is passing through the pre-column, or that is called as a guard column. Then it is sent to the flow splitter. One part of the mobile phase is sent to the detector, and the one portion is sent to your column. Before it reaches to the column, in between, a sample injection port is situated where it can carry the mobile phase and the sample to the column simultaneously. This is the HPLC column where actual separation is taking place. The analytical analyte, which is separated in column, is then sent to the detector. Some portion of your mobile phase is already there in detector, which is acting as a reference, and the sample which is coming out from the column is going to the sample cell. So UV visible detectors are generally used in case of your HPLC as a detector system. So this is a block diagram for HPLC instrumentation. Now we'll see one by one components of HPLC instrument. One is your mobile phase reservoir and solvent treatment system. The solvent reservoirs are equipped with purger and inlet filters. Whatever mobile phase we are using, it should be filtered before it is to be kept into the reservoir. Generally, the vacuum filtration is done using 0.44 or zero point 0.22 micrometer nylon filters. Remember that you have to use nylon filter, not the membrane filters, because membrane filters are made up of the cellulose acetate phthalate, where your organic solvent will dissolve this component. Therefore, you have to use nylon membrane filters of 0.47 plus minus 0.02 or 0.22 micrometer plus minus 0.02. The spurger and inlet filters are there to prevent the entry of any particulate matter into the tubings. Special types of the millipore filtering devices to remove the undesired particulate matter are required. All your mobile phases and samples which you are introducing into the HPLC system must be filtered before they are pumped or they are injected. Reservoir may be equipped with back pressure regulators so that it can control the pressure of your system. Reservoirs are made up of stainless steel or borosilicate glass with capacity of 500 ml to 1 liter. Now the second component of your instrument is a mobile phase. So we have studied two types of the HPLC system, that is, one is normal phase and another one is a reverse phase. In case of normal phase system, your stationary phase is polar and your mobile phase is non-polar. So here you can see example of some non-polar solvents. They are generally organic solvents used in HPLC. They include hexane, benzene, methylene chloride, chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, diethyl ether, tetrahydrofluorine, etc. But in case of the reverse phase chromatography, your stationary phase is polar and the mobile phase is non-polar. The mobile phase is composed, your stationary phase is non-polar and your mobile phase is polar. The mobile phase is composition of organic and aqueous phase. For aqueous phase, we are having water or buffer system and various organic solvent which are used in the mobile phase include methanol, acetonitrile, THF. So these are the examples of various organic solvent used in HPLC. Then this buffer include either phosphate buffer or acetate buffer. The third component is your pumping devices. The ideal requirement of pumping devices include it should have the efficient high pressure up to 60 kpsi. So this pressure depends upon your normal HPLC or UPHPLC. UPHPLC means high performance, small columns are used and high pressure is used, that is up to 100 kpsi. Then the output of pump should be pulse free. The flow rate should be variable from 0.1 to 10 ml per minute. The flow control and flow reproducibility are important ideal requirement. Then the component of your pumping system should be corrosion resistance because we are using various buffers or we are using certain organic solvent may lead to the corrosion of your piston and barrels. There are various types of HPLC pumps used. There are reciprocating piston pumps, syringe pump, and constant pressure pump. We'll see the first one, reciprocating piston pumps. It consists of small motor driven piston which moves rapidly back and forth in hydraulic chamber that may vary from 30 to 400 microliter in volume. On the backstroke, the separation column valve is closed and the piston pulls in the solvent from the mobile phase reservoir. On the front stroke, the pump pushes solvent out of the column from the reservoir. A wide range of flow rates can be attained by altering the position, stroke volume during each cycle or by altering the stroke frequencies. The second are the syringe type pump. These are most suitable for small bore column because these pumps delivers only a finite volume of mobile phase before it is to be refilled. This pump has a volume between 250 to 500 microliters. This is microliter. The pump operates by motorized lead screw that deliver mobile phase to the column at constant rate. The rate of solvent delivery is controlled by changing voltages on the motor. And the third one is constant pressure pump. In this type of the pump, the mobile phase is driven through the column with use of pressure from gas cylinder. So therefore they are also called as pneumatic pumps. A low pressure gas source is needed to generate high liquid pressures. The liquid which is kept into the chamber is pressurized with gas. So this liquid will enter through the tubing with the pressure. They are giving a constant pressure. There is no fluctuation in pressure during process of pumping. The valve arrangement allows the rapid refill of the solvent chamber whose capacity is about 70 microliter. These provide continuous phase flow rate. But this type of the columns are not useful for gradient elution because for every solvent system mixing we required to evacuate the previous mobile phase from the chamber and it is difficult. The next component, the next part is a sample introduction or sample injection system. There are various sample injection systems like syringe injection through the septum, stop flow injection, valve injection through the loops, septumless syringe injection valves, or autosampler. The syringe injection through the septums means there are self-sealing septums, and when we inject the hypodermic needle through the septums, they will get resealed after the syringe is removed and prevent the loss of pressure. Such type of the systems is known as syringe injection system. Then stop flow injection, where we had to stop the flow, disconnect the HPLC column, add the sample on top of column and repressurize the system. Valve injection through the loops. Example is your Rheodyne injectors, which are commonly utilized. The modified form is septumless syringe injector valves and the autosamplers. Generally, we are having either the Rheodyne injectors or autosampler inject into the equipped with the instrument. The HPLC manual injectors are such type of the Rheodyne injectors which are having inject position and load position. Now insert the syringe at inject position into this injection port. Turn the knob of the load position. Okay, so it will fill all the liquid into this loop. Okay, so these are the loop type of the injector. Load the sample. Okay, then turn the knob to the inject position. So the loop will be the part of your mobile phase flow system, and it will take the sample to the column. Remove the syringe, wash the injector port. Okay, so these are called as a Rheodyne manual injector. Certain precautions are required when you are using such type of the Rheodyne injectors. These Rheodyne injectors are generally fixed volume injector. We are using 20 microliter loop injectors in our laboratory. So in manual injector, generally they are available with the fixed loop capacity of 10 to 20 microliters. When you are using such manual injector, certain precautions needs to be taken that do not use pointed or bevel needle tips. So you have to use blunt needles so that they will not cause any harm to your loop system. So must use a square ended type of the needles. And second, do not use more than pH 10 solutions in the sample injection system. So this is the loop type system. Just I will explain you the function. So this is the load position and this is the inject position. In case of the load position, so these are the loops. Okay. So now this is column which is connected to this solvent reservoir, and the liquid is entering through the solvent reservoir and going to the column. Now the loop is not in the process of your column. Okay, only the solvent is passing here. Meanwhile, we can load this loop with the sample. Now this syringe, when it is injected, will load the loop here. Okay, excess of liquid and air will come out from the other end. Till all liquid and air comes out, we have to inject the sample. So this volume is fixed, that it will take either 20 microliter sample in it. Even if you do not measure any volume of liquid in the syringe, okay, so all liquid which is held in this part is only entering into the system. Now when you rotate this position, when you rotate the position of your injector, inject position, so it will be a part. Now see here, it will be getting disconnected from this side and it is coming in part. The solvent will flow through this loop, will carry the liquid with it, and then this solvent with the sample will enter to the column. So these are called as loop injectors, and they are having the fixed volume in the determination. The next part is your column. We will stop here for this presentation. Again, we will be in part 2, B part of your presentation immediately. Thank you and happy learning, friends. Thank you.